Everything's going to be... Okay, share this around. Share this on Twitter. Share it on Discord. Share Twitter, share on Discord. Just as soon as the YouTube app focuses again. Focus! Take me a sip of my water while I'm at it. Good water. Good water. Nothing beats water, you know? Greetings, fellow children of time and space. It's your host, Amari Shadow, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back once again to some more of Final Fantasy XIV. This might be a shorter live stream than expected because we have a couple of side quest scenarios that we need to tackle today, but I'm not entirely sure how long these side quests are going to last. I was expecting the Hildebrand Manderville quest line to last a little bit longer than what we got in the last live stream, but that only lasted for about, what, 2 hours? So I'm expecting to get through these other quests pretty quickly, depending on how long they are. But if this ends up being a short live stream, then tomorrow I will try to possibly pick back up Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not entirely too sure if that live stream series is going to do as well as I had hoped, but I do definitely want to play it. So we shall be tackling Ghost of Tsushima tomorrow. Until then, we're going to go ahead and complete these side quests, get them out of the way, and then we'll just wait till the next patch, because at the moment there's really nothing that's really worth doing on here right now. I mean, granted, I could always start a new character and play them from the very beginning of the game and actually go through the entire game, but do you really want to see me do that? Do you honestly want me to go through all of the expansions just to get through the Endwalker content yet again? Honestly, I don't call that fun, because Realm Reborn and some of the other expansions aren't that great. So, yeah. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started right away with today's adventure and see what's in store for us. Allons-y! As you can see, we are here in Old Charlian once again. And this is where our quest shall begin. And let's see here. Let's open up my map. There's one right here. And one right here. Alright, so let's go and get the one from Tataru's place first. Hello! Yami Nomura, welcome, welcome! I am Medina, assistant shopkeep and apprentice seamstress here at Tataru Taru's boutique. I doubt you remember my face, as I am merely one of many who owe you our lives, but you will always have my gratitude for saving me that day on the Evian Rhine. You are too kind, and while I hate to ask aught more of you, please say that you're here to assist in Miss Tataru's new endeavor. What new endeavor? Not yet, but he soon shall be. Hi, Tataru! Whatever would we do without your penchant for turning up precisely when you're needed, eh? Now, to make the long story of our solvency short, we've secured the resources to produce the new designs I've developed in cooperation with guilds near and far, in a sufficient quantity to meet rising demand. We shan't rest on our laurels, however. To serve passing adventurers and the occasional intrepid Charlian is all well and good, but we're hardly taking the world by storm. No. Much like yourself, we must look toward new horizons. The Scions prove that cooperation on a star-wide scale is possible, and we will be fools not to capitalize on that to build the grandest trade network in the history of Heidelin, all for the greater good, of course. Yes, this is a wonderful opportunity to bring people together. I often think back to that incredible moment when the Garlean army came to our rescue. Perhaps our efforts, too, will one day lead to a miracle like that which took place on the Ebian Rhine. I have no doubt that they shall, but we mustn't expect such alliances to form themselves. We must be proactive, and who better to woo our future partners in commerce than our current #1 customer, you. Our erstwhile comrades in arms know that when it comes to good equipment and better ideas, few have such keen eyes as our adventurer extraordinaire. Even should they hesitate at first, I'm certain you can convince them using the samples I've prepared. Well, I see that my mind is made up. But of course, with your assistant we'll have both coin and goodwill flowing in no time. Everything is falling into place. Where shall we send Yami first? Don't you worry, I have it all planned out. First, Limsa Laminsa. Sickard and the bloody executioner is working harder than ever, so he is sure to appreciate any extra supplies. Next, Gridania. The Sea Seers are a source of trusted authority and insight into the Shroud, so we not go amiss in cultivating the investment of, say, Arun Senna. His insular station has likely given him little opportunity for dealings outside of Gridania in the past, so you want to leverage that Ilsabardian contingent camaraderie to assure him of the value of our venture. As for Ulda, I feel confident in pinning our hopes on Pippin. He's always been a stalwart ally, and it goes without saying that he has more than a little sway in the Sultanate. Between his involvement with the Immortal Flames, the Syndicate, and the Colosseum, he's bound to find a use for quality accoutrements. With that out of the way, Megina, would you do the honors? Never let it be said that Taru is stingy with her samples. Now, if you make your way to Limsa and climb aboard the Astalicia, I'm certain someone will point you in Sickard's direction. I have my own avenues of inquiry to attend to, but I'll check in periodically to see how your journey is coming along. Let's get to it. Okay, seems simple enough. Just seems like a delivery quest of some sort. Okay, Limsa Laminsa, home of the pirates. Why is it nighttime every time I come on this game? Fisherman Guild. Hasthwab. I recognize ye. What do ye want? Long as it's not about another bloody apocalypse, I don't see why not. Wait here. Well, bugger me. Well, we've seen the last of you for a while. What brings you aboard? Your crew seems busy. No rest for the wicked and all. We're getting so many shipping requests that we've hardly put down anchor since old Shalian. You know, there was a time I thought pirating was the whole world. That being the best of them all meant something. Going to Ilzabad made me see how small my world was compared to the real one. Standing next to the star's finest, I started to wonder what I had to brag about. Then the bloody executioners went and did me proud by bringing in a bigger goddamned hole of adamantite than anyone else in the realm. Between that and the new metalworks we've got going with the kobolds and the Sahagin looking to export their own wares, it seemed like the right time for the executioners to change our sails, so to speak. Which is all to say that if you've got wares for promoting, I'd be happy to show them off across the realm and beyond. Masterworks from Tataru's boutique, guaranteed by the warrior light himself. Almost seems a waste to wear 'em. Folk be lining up at the docks for these. Literally, seeing as old Shalian's only accessible by sea. Now, if we got ourselves an exclusive shipping contract... Aye, I see the course clear as day. Now we just need Eminelin on board. He's right useless when there's work to be done, but talk's another matter. And he still owes me one for keeping his sorry ass out of trouble, so I'll have him put me in touch with a few savvy salesman types on the continent. Tell Tataru I look forward to setting sail on this new tide of hers. May the winds of change guide us aright. Yami, it's me. How goes our little venture thus far? Oh ho, Sickard's eyeing the shipping routes, is he? All according to plan. But our work has only just begun. I'll keep after my own contacts while you work on Arun. I hear he's not often in the city, but I don't doubt that Mother Mion can sniff him out. Alright, next up, Gridania. Lag! Huh. Alright, we need to go over there, but something I was wanting to do before I actually do anything else. I wanted to check on some clothing items on the market board to see if I could actually afford something right quick. Body piece, body piece, body piece. First things first, how much is... Not that. That. How much is that being sold for? Aye! 500,000 gil, I ain't got enough. Ugh! That's so annoying. And the only reason I like it is because of the tattoo on it, which is a dragon. I love dragons. What about the casual jacket? Has it dropped in price? Nope. Nope. Still not enough. We gotta get it cheaper, people! Cheaper! How about the exciting fiber? Has it dropped in price? Nope! It's still over $1 million. Well, nothing can be done about it, I'm afraid. Why, if it isn't Yami Nomura, struck with a sudden craving for eel pie, were you? Or is it information you fancy? Oh yes, word of our Seedseer's comings and goings never fails to reach my ears. I'm told that ever since he returned from his foray to Ilsabard, he's been roaming back and forth between our neighboring tribes' settlements and the Lotus Strand. You'll miss him if you make for one or the other, like as not, so I suggest you waylay him at the Blue Badger Gate. Ah, there he is. Curious. Might I ask why you're loitering at the gate, Yami, and with such an enormous sack? I admit you've piqued my interest. To integrate the tradition and ingenuity of guilds throughout Eorzea in such a fashion is no small feat. As it happens, I'm of the mind to do something similar myself, though I could not blame you should you doubt my understanding of such endeavors. Absent a special dispatch like that which the Elder Seedseer ordered for Ilsabard, 'tis vanishingly rare for one of my station to leave the Shroud. You are doubtless aware that, historically, Gridania has placed the peace of the Twelveswood in our covenant with the elements above all else, often to the detriment of our relationship with other peoples. Yet much as we are one with the Shroud, are we not also part of the Star Entire? Our ventures in Galamal made plain the strength of a world united. This attire you carry demonstrates much the same truth. But perhaps you assumed you would need to talk me around to the idea. If so, I apologize for the disappointment. If 'tis any comfort, I'm nearly as surprised myself. No longer am I content to hear the words of the elementals alone. I wish to know the voices of men, though our time in Galamal has shown me that my ability to listen is average at best. These horns may mock me as a gifted in the Twelveswood, but beyond that, beyond, they inspire neither fear nor awe. I have been mistaken several times for a Zayla, and may as well be one, for all the difference my status as Seedseer makes to those who want for succor. Yet 'twas this self-same insignificance that allowed me, for the first time in my life, to truly feel part of a greater whole. I am but one life among myriads upon this star. I dare say I should behave accordingly. With luck, my eldest sister shall agree. Tell Mistress Tataru that our gift is accepted with gratitude, and she ought to hear from us soon. Guess who? Did you speak with Arun yet? That sounds promising. I'm beginning to understand what makes our Seedseer friend tick. But we can discuss that later. You need to catch Pip and air his duties taken from Uldar once more. I believe he spends much of his time at the Colosseum, so perhaps you should pay a visit to the Gold Court. I'll be awaiting your full report at the boutique. Gotta go and see my friend! And now, back to my old stomping grounds. I see. Master Terrapin is currently engaged in another meeting, but I shall tell him that Yami awaits his convenience. My apologies for keeping you waiting. I did not expect you to you here this morning. Tataru is offering quality material, is she? I can hardly say no to that. It fits almost too perfectly with my plans for the flames. I have long striven for mastery of the blade. I have acquired the trials of Ilsbad, however, to truly see Tsutoda for what it is. The fire that warms the coldest night, the spark that ignites a blaze of hope, and most of all, an unbreakable testament to Father's faith in me. More allied than tool is a treasure beyond price. Does every soldier of the Immortal Flames not deserve allies such as this? Arms and armor to remind them of what they fight to protect, to help them stand when they might otherwise fail. And fall. They said fall, not fail. Indeed, works made possible only through the ingenuity and dedication of allies across the star may be just the sort of inspiring armaments we need. I anticipate that I will be sending along an order for custom equipment ere long. In the meantime, would you mind if I use these samples for a few trials here at the Colosseum? My thanks. We shall put them to use immediately. As a child of Uldar, however, naught strikes fear into my heart like the prospect of receiving valuable goods for free. I must assist you accept something in return. I had been meaning to gift that necklace to Taro. His poor condition aside, she might rather have it than not. Necklace? I had spoken with Taro at some length about our pasts, you understand. In many ways, we are quite similar. As you may recall, her family was bankrupted when she was very young, a consequence of her father's business failing. They were forced to put all their wealth toward paying off his debts, and then some. One asset they reluctantly parted with was a necklace treasured by her mother, for which Tataru has long searched to no avail. Strangely enough, I recently discovered jewelry of the very same description amidst a store of neglected Colosseum prizes. Assuming it is the same piece, I should like to see it returned to her. It is significantly worse off for having changed hands, though, and only the sapphire centerpiece remains unlost and undamaged. She may appreciate the sentiment nevertheless, but it's difficult to say. What do you think? The memories it holds aren't lost or damaged. True enough. Though if it's to be a gift, I would prefer to at least clean it up a bit. In that case, I considered asking the Goldsmith's Guild, but you ought to be able to turn the necklace into a piece that Tataru would wear, if not precisely what she remembers. I imagine you will have the opportunity to pick up gems and other suitable materials on your travels. From there, it is merely a matter of unifying the pieces. Are you willing? Are you asking me to craft? Then I will have the sapphire removed from its setting and sent to the boutique with all haste. I doubt even Tataru would dare open a private package addressed to you. Best of luck in finding matching materials, and in your mercantile endeavors, of course. May the traders guide you to fortune fair. Back to old Charlie! He returned, which a bag all the lighter for having given away our samples, I hope. Speaking of which, a parcel from one Pippin Towerpin arrived not bells ago, addressed to you. Could it be that our newfound partnerships are already bearing fruit? Her mother's necklace. Why, that's a wonderful idea. Please allow me to assist. I swear I won't breathe a word of this to Mr. Tataru. I do wonder what parts you will need. Do you know what style Mr. Tataru prefers? If this necklace is to be a keepsake, why not focus on that? Ah, apologies. I cannot help but overhear. That's quite alright, but do please keep your voice down. What was it you were saying? It simply occurred to me that, since you were gifted the sapphire so readily, our other partners in endeavor may wish to offer up something for Mr. Tataru as well. With such gifts, you could turn the necklace into a memento of not just her past and its trials, but her present successes as well. Ah, that's perfect! If our plans for the boutique proceed apace, we should soon have more than enough tokens from friends across the seas. What do you think, Yami? Well, well. Were you waiting for little old me? Mr. Tataru, we were, just discussing the successful delivery of the samples, yes. Good to hear. How fares dear Pippin? I knew he would come through, though I admit that I wasn't expecting to outfit a whole host of immortal flames quite so soon. I suppose it goes to show that even the most hardened warrior can always learn a thing or two. And Sickard and Arun have changed as well, if your tales are any indication. I imagine their personal growth bodes well for that of our network. Thank you for checking up on them. We must sort through our current commissions before deciding who to approach next, but I know I can count on you to be ready when we are. Oh, is that it? I expected there to be more. I guess not. Alright then. And I see the Wandering Minstrel quest hasn't been tackled yet. Which, honestly, all that is just me talking to the Wandering Minstrel to open up the extreme trials for this expansion, which I still have no intention of doing. I have no intention of doing them. But in order to get that blue, well, I need to come over here too. Get these blue marks off my map. And that reminds me, what do you even have? You have a mount and Diabolo swings. Ooh! You have a Siamese cat! At least I think that's a Siamese cat. Huh. Levmets. Who are you? Oh, cleaners. You have another quest? Why? There. Yes, I see you over here, you wandering minstrel. You're not the same person that, person I recognize. I'm guessing they changed the model of the Wandering Minstrel, because this is not the same one that we're used to. Alright, that Zodiac's full. Heidelin's call. And last but not least, Endsinger's aria. All three of these I have no intention of doing, ever. But I have them. I have them, but I have no intention of doing them. Anyway, the other quest we have is over here by the bespectacled technician. Oh! It's Alpha and Omega! That's blown the cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Goodness me, look who it is! How incredibly serendipitous that I would run into you, of all people. I was part of the team which designed the Ragnarok, you see, and we've recently begun the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of your journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star and countless others, of course, but it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during its flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most talented linguists have been unable to decipher the language. For a while there, it seemed we must accept defeat, but today may be the day that we finally solve the mystery. If you are so inclined, would you care to come along to Thalmazine? It seems fitting to have one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear history being made. Oh, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who, I am told, potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. They should be along at any moment. Sorry we're late. We had some trouble finding the right... Gods, is that you, Yami? Hello, Biggs! Yes, the man himself. I ran into him at the harbor, then thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Yami Nomura. No argument here, but bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has more to do with you than you might think, so please do stick around. Shall we pick up from where we left off, then? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to our ears. Alien being the operative word here. Considering we received the message out in the great expanse, his origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short, thus we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message would remain beyond our understanding. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok, and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it could tell us what the message means. Not the Omega you beat in the Rift, of course. He's talking about the toy that trundles around with Alpha, the little model we made. We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. And I got to thinking about those documents you lot sent the Chief, the full report on the final days. In the part about Omega civilization, it said their people discovered how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer this consciousness into our model right before you put an end to the real one. Alpha! So in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. With help from Labyrinthos technicians, we've upgraded our Tor Omega with a fully functional vocalization module. We played the transmission for Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Hi, Alpha! Are you in there, Omega? Affirmative. If by Omega you are referring to my consciousness, rather than my entire former chassis, existing inside this considerably smaller frame. Well, hello, old friend. Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. These I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Vocalization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer of my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness of the presence I possess will also be lost. Conclusion. I present no threat to you or your star, nor do my projections indicate the necessity to inflict harm. In the fraction of a moment before my annihilation in the Rift, I re-examined my directives. If I am to fulfill my purpose as an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul. Well, there you have it, and it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more likely to damage itself than the thing it was trying to attack. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language? Affirmative. It was transmitted in Pan-Galactic Basic. Pan-Galactic Basic? A common language in comparatively extensive usage throughout the worlds we have conquered. Which means you can finally tell us what the message said. That is a language you understand, yes? I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectal codings. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. Elaboration. Your chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system, which allowed me to scan the report on the final days. I am aware that my home star, the one you call Alphatron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir Meteon's meeting. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept. In theory, what fails to compute is why the Omicrons were not immune to its effects. Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Sir expressed to Meteon a desire to cease existing. Illogical. I must pursue this anomaly further, until the full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all the elements of the final days, and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of those sections of the report which continue to produce errors in my calculations. I request the assistance of Yami Nomura, as one who experienced the ravages of ultimate despair on multiple fronts and displayed immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat. He is the optimal choice to fulfill this role. So either agree to your conditions or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you in a spot like this, Yami. If you have the time and the patience to spare, we'd all be grateful if you could humor the toy's demands. Alpha fell asleep. Has Alpha dozed off? I suppose the subject was a bit technical. Rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen to and consider these matters, even if as I must. Claire. Why don't you make a trip out of it? You know? Actually visit the places that has the things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff very easier for one, and also help keep Alpha awake and alert. Alpha! I love the Omega raids. I love that story. I only wish that one of the bosses that we fought was actually Sephiroth. We got XIV and we also got Kefka, but I really would have liked seeing Sephiroth showing up in this game. Or at least something reminiscent of Sephiroth. I see you have chosen the mutually beneficial option. Logical. Setting aside the matter absurd, there are 3 elements of the report on which I desire clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in Razatan. I recognize no pattern in those who succumbed to the transformation and those who did not. That's a bit of a trek if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship? We do not require such outmoded technology. Yami's teleportation spell is the most efficient option for long-distance travel. Wow! This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite his organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll. Conclusion, we qualify his material possessions. Pick us up, and you can teleport the 3 of us to our destination. Okay. Hello, what's that? A place to just a training arena. Sensors indicate we have arrived at Ranzatan. Objective, identify factors for resistance to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis, unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of live subjects, whereas the ward designated for residential habitation. Understood. Kama set as our subject's destination. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview. Wait a minute. This way. What do you got to say? Alpha chirps enthusiastically, apparently unfazed by the prospect of climbing the stairs. Bruh. And what about you? Warning, please avoid stairs whenever possible. My projections indicate high risk probability for accidental slippage leading to catastrophic structural damage. Stepped inclines also increase my energy consumption by 63%. In mortal terms, they tire me out. Taking into account the difference in individual limb length, the design is inherently flawed. A convenient step height for one is an exhausting trial for another. While I to oversee the civic design of the settlement, I will construct a sloped conveyor belt, which enabled automatic traversal, zero personal energy expenditure. Bruh! Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. You see, I was one of those who sought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went, in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlotte, except now things are strained between my sister and I, since she chose to stay and I chose to leave. I asked her to help me find work, and she suggests I look somewhere that isn't Thavnir, as if I wanted to abandon my home. It makes me so angry! Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star's satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in a negative light? Your sibling's judgment is an error. Based on the information made available to Hanish citizens, your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain in Rotsatan, despite the low probability of survival, defies explanation. Perhaps our reasoning pathways are faulty. That's right. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? Or so I'd like to think. The problem is I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving behind everything I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out, I... Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about Kazal. I'm glad to see you looking well after all the unpleasantness. I remembered the burning skies and hearing the screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lies empty even now. Kazal's place is one of them. He had no close relatives to speak of, and I heard that it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do. Terrible? Kazal's passing was recorded in the report. Clearing out his domicile and ready for new habitation seems an appropriate reallocation of resources. Dear me, what a clever little contraption. But of course, I'm not against making use of his quarters. That would be wasteful. It's simply that Kazal was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams, suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost, seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes. That is what I mean by terrible. Hey, don't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of. You told me to join everyone in the square. Thanks to you, I was there when Vritra gave his speech, and I found out who Farshan really was. It's a shame we don't get to play like we used to. My mama says Vritra has been busy putting the city back in order. Maybe I can work for him one day, when I'm a man grown. Vritra, Midgard's son and offspring, yes? And this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command, that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict that the Hanish survivors are those who had ingested Vritra's blood and became his draconic minions. Though dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities are not to be underestimated. It's unlikely that we experience emotions of dread or uncertainty, as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress. Dragons? I'm not a dragon, and I never ingested anyone's blood either. Ew! You are not of Vritra's horde, so you are possessed no hidden means to fight off the beast. What a fear, then. You were frightened? Yes, I was frightened. I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me, at least until he told me it was safe to come out. Yami, I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis against accumulated evidence. I offered an optimal analysis of each subject's testimony, and each time their responses conflicted with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I would be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself. An interesting observation. It is possible my base criteria is an error, in which case it is imperative that I continue this learning process and repair any fundamental misconceptions. Next, I wish to interact with the individual who endured similar circumstances to Kazal prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with any local merchants who had dealings with him? Jitnabana of Ruvidea Fibers acknowledged such a destination set. Well, well, look who it is. I must thank you again for your help in moving our textiles. Recovering from those tragic events has been difficult, of course, but with everyone pulling together, we've managed to get things back up and running. Giovanna, I come with questions related to that tragedy, specifically your survival of the final days. Although you're similar to Calzal in many respects, he succumbed to the transformation and you did not. Why? What is the critical difference between you and him? What? I'm sure I don't know. I'm not especially brave or courageous, if that's what you're asking. Perhaps being focused on protecting our workshops kept me from spinning into a panic. Still, I imagine Calzal would have been feeling that same sense of responsibility. Perhaps the weight of it all is what invited his demise. You are the same mind, resolved to the same purpose, yet your strength of heart or spirit was not equal. It is merely emulating the individual is insufficient, and some other unseen factor must be involved. Ahem. Not to interrupt these deep philosophical musings, but do you think I could ask of you a small favor? There's a man by the name of Nashvan who's been helping us out here while he gets back on his feet. I have a feeling he'd benefit from speaking with you. Leave by the eastern exit and you should find him just outside, organizing some new inventory items. Lag! What? Is he... Yep, there he is. No, nope. What the... Oh, never mind. That's all orders accounted for, and everything looks to be of good quality. Kamala will be pleased. You were with the Scions. You were there. Yes, I'm sure of it. I'll never forget that day. You and your friends helped us escape, but people began changing into beasts. My own son, he was afflicted, and that huge monstrosity loomed right over him, and... I remember, my heart turning to ice, freezing in place. The satrap came to my aid, but then he too was gone. Oh yeah, I remember him. The memories run together in my mind, like flashes from a nightmare. Only the words of your comrade still ring clear. I repeated them over and over like a mantra as I fled for my life. You must run, for their sake and your own. It all seemed so surreal, which was probably what... The truth of it didn't begin to sink in until the worst of it was over. I have not the words to describe how I felt then. The sorrow, the overwhelming sense of helplessness. I may still be wallowing in misery if not for my old friend Giovanna. I'd lost my will to work, and he encouraged me with kind words and odd jobs. Now somehow I live again. I am thankful to him, to the courageous Ahewan, and to you. If you see your comrades, please let them know their efforts were not in vain. You said you lost your will to work. This signifies the cessation of the efforts to maintain basic life functions, yes? What changed to extract you from that stagnation? An awful work from Giovanna should mean little to no one without the desire to accept it. Was it some matter of mortal instinct? A primal need to survive and thrive? Instinct? No, it wasn't that. If anything, my instincts were telling me to lay down and welcome an end to the pain. Every day I think of my boy's final moments. I think of how scared he must have been, how he must have hurt, and I want to scream my throat raw. The satrap, too, still haunts my dreams. I see him being swallowed whole, and jolt awake at a cold sweat. But something changed when Giovanna came to me. I looked up and saw that, even without my son or Ahewan, The world around me continued to turn, and because that fact grieved me so, I knew it fell to me to live on and remember them. Strange, isn't it? What drives me to rise in the morning is the very sorrow which once crippled me. Now, I really must return to my work. To lose this job after everything I just said would be a poor jest, indeed. May the sisters keep you well. Sorrow. The emotion generated by mortals when their ideals fail to materialize. This I have observed, yet when I listen to how Nashvan's sorrow served to rescue him from near fatal despondency, his logic eludes me. Am I incapable of perceiving the full measure of the heart's properties? My best projections fail to predict our subjects' responses, and despite their almost equal occupational and mental parameters, the Jinabana, and Baha, and Kalzal exhibited different reactions to the dynamis effect. I am no closer to recognizing the pattern for involuntary transformations, and your ephemeral mortal spirits confound me as much, if not more, than they did before. Have you considered that there is no pattern to the people afflicted? No pattern? You imply that the transformation was not contingent on individual fortitude, but rather a random contribution of environmental factors? Such a theory would explain the otherwise conflicting data. Very well. I shall accept this as a provisional conclusion to this part of my investigation. I do, however, expect you to continue supplementing my education of heart-related matters. Next! Ooh, I get a gift! Omega has selected a new destination. Our next destination will be Camp Broken Glass. I desire elaboration on the dealings between the Ilsvard contingent and its citizens of Garlemald. The report described the contingent's purpose as the salvation of the local populace. Furthermore, both factions faced a common enemy in the Telophoroi. Why did they not immediately combine forces to their mutual benefit? This inconsistency requires closer examination. Yami, initiate teleportation. Teleportation successful. Evaluating immediate environs. A cold weather region by Aetheric standards, but significantly less extreme than a star with ice planet's classification. This body should not be unduly impeded. In contrast to Alpha and its uncontrollable shivering, my frame appears highly resistant to low temperatures. Retrieving data. Records indicate that remnants of the contingent force and a number of Imperial citizens yet inhabit this location. We must speak with representatives from both factions and explore their respective attitudes. Omega and Alpha, yep. Yami, come to see how things are progressing, have you? I can't speak for the overall strategy, but communication with the locals has become a damn sight easier since Julius and his soldiers stepped in to help. Oh, we still face our fair share of distrust, of course. Some folk even think we're enslaving minds with our foreign magics. We have Anima to thank for putting that idea in their heads. But all things considered, I'd say we are doing pretty well. Establishing an open dialogue was the first big step. Query, you consider this level of progress acceptable? The reality of your efforts falls far short of the ideal. If your aim is to provide efficient succor to the local populace, then absorbing their number into your command structure would be the optimal path. Oh, I wouldn't want to go that far. We're not looking to take over their nation. If we're to do this the right way, we need to recognize and respect each other's way of life. So while it may not be the easiest solution, I agree with the contingent's slow and steady approach. I'm just happy we're saving lives. It's a lalafell! A shadow from the past? Yes, I know you from Victor's spoils. Have you come to laugh at me? A wretch who chose to lose Lucinia and her sister rather than accept your help. The fool who ended up relying upon your charity nonetheless. Oh, perhaps I deserve your derision. My compatriots surely scorn my failed conviction. I have shamed my people, and brought dishonor upon my nation. I am no better than a kept beast, my pride sold for a bowl of feed. But my soul, nay, that you shall not have. I refused your honeyed offers of a new home. This land is where I belong, and this is where I shall remain. You demonstrate opposition to the continuous overtures. On what basis do you refuse this cooperation? The data suggests the local populace are struggling to produce the bare minimum of sustenance. Have you some secret strategy for survival? Hello, who's messaging me? Oh, it's my mother. Give me a second. Hello, Richie. Or do your orders compel you to accept your present misfortune? What? Must I be mocked by a Magitech toy now? No, I have no secret strategy, no binding orders. I but comport myself as any true Garlean patriot would. Uncompromising, unbending. Blast it all. Once again, this input is unanticipated. Let us move aside and process what we have heard. I have evaluated this most recent input and made comparisons to our discoveries in Ohtani. Consistent only in their inconsistency, the responses from both contingent member and Imperial citizen were highly irrational. Conversely, any Omicron considered their predicaments would have echoed my assessment exactly. The divergence from self-evident logic is key. Hypothesis. The illogical relationship between would-be saviors and suffering populace is another result of the unpredictable nature of mortal hearts. Any property or ability has inherent advantages and disadvantages, yet never have I encountered such a unique detriment. It appears that those who share your metaphysical capabilities are prone to complicating simple cognitive processes. An undesirable quality. I will, however, persist in furthering my understanding of the subject. Ilva! Query. Prior to formulating our next step, I wish to know, who is this Lucinia the Imperial mentioned? Acknowledge. To summarize, insufficient data on foreign culture result in an inadvisable and ultimately fatal action. I witnessed such self-destructive behavior during the course of our planetary conquest. Overwhelmed enemy forces would voluntarily withdraw into perilous regions, leading to a succession of inevitable losses. Tangential data request. I wish to learn about burial customs. The practice has ever seemed nonsensical, but new data suggests it arises from the same source as your cognitive complications. Take me to this Licinius burial site. It may aid me in understand. What? Energy and delivery systems compromised. Core temperature critically low. Warning, immediate heating required. Request, apply friction to outer frame. Temperature nominal, energy level stabilizing. The greater systems model must have experienced impaired cognitive reasoning during the design process. Upon a return, I will request additional climate shielding, as well as an accurate temperature sensor array. This will not affect my combat capabilities, but should improve my basic survival rate. Reconfirming sub-destination. In which direction will we find Victor's spoils? Acknowledged. Alpha, you are to remain in close proximity, close enough to envelop me in your feathers. You are permitted to carry me on your back if you so choose. Come to me, flying Nimbus! A deceptively deep snowdrift almost defeated me, but we have successfully arrived at the location you indicated. Caution advised. An unknown individual appears to be investigating the object of my interest. You're Yosu's champion, aren't you? Yami Nomura. Oh, I never introduced myself, did I? I am Manius, soldier of the First Legion and comrade of Eulus. Perhaps you remember me from Tertium. We spoke about collecting ceruleum and again later on, after Lord Quintus had passed. Manius, explanation requested. What is the reason for your presence here? That must be the tiniest Magitech weapon no, it's just an oddly shaped communicator, isn't it? In any case, I have nothing worthy to report. I heard that the sister whose youths lived in my sector were buried here, so I thought I'd come and pay my respects. Alfino and Alize told me the story, complete with profuse apologies, though they were adamant that no amount of remorse could erase the tragedy of what came to pass. Not that my fellow soldiers and I are in any place to judge. We were manipulated, fooled into starting an insurrection which led to countless deaths among our own countrymen. Objection. The casualties occurred through your infighting are distinct from those caused by the Ilsabadi contingent. To restate, you are justified in seeking restitution from the contingent for causing the deaths of Licinia and her sister. Retaliation for damages sustained is also a logical progression. I could deduce two reasons why you do not initiate hostilities with Yami and his allies. One, you judge your remaining forces too weak to contend effectively with contingent. Two, your emotions are complicating the issue. Tell me, which of these is correct? Well, when you lay it out like that... Ahem. I'm afraid my answer isn't like to win me any medals, so would you mind keeping this to yourselves? There's the unspoken thought that we're matched on the battlefield, certainly, but the real reason is I'm not demanding restitution has little to do with weighing the odds. The simple truth is I'm so caught up with simple survival that I've no strength to spare for past grievances. The same goes for avenging any comrades we've lost, be that my brothers in arms or Lord Quintus himself. Although it seems everyone has an opinion about the manner of his passing. Some say he should have fought until the end, that he abandoned us to the enemy. Others praise him for taking the full burden of responsibility and freeing us to walk our own path. I don't know who's right and who's wrong, but I'm inclined to side with the latter. He gave us the choice of freedom, and that's the choice I made. I could cry and rant and rage, but what would be the point? I'll save my energy for worrying about my next meal, my next task. I need to focus on the ones left behind, on making some kind of life for my comrades and me. And if I need to lean on the contingent to do that, then that's what I'll do. Even if their aid comes at a price, I'm willing to pay it. Even amongst your own, there are times when cooperation demands compromise. What matter that they're outsiders? Besides, I think I could grow to like Alphino and Alize. They've reached out to us with kindness and compassion from the very beginning. Summation. Your desire to survive, even should it mean allying with the contingent, was a feeling you already harbored. That your side had committed worse atrocities was a logic you invented later to justify your reasoning. Blunt but accurate, I suppose. The heart is honest about what it wants, even if the mind takes a while to reconcile the decision. Well, this has been oddly cathartic, but I must return to my duties. There are wild beasts to cull, watchfires to light, supplies to transport. Even without an emperor, there's no rest for an imperial. Be well and stay safe. Stay safe. Upon review of recent input, I have arrived at an unexpected conclusion. I've been formulating my assessments on the premise that it was a man who commanded the strength of his heart. The data suggests the opposite is true. The surge of spirit, of feelings, of emotions can entangle your thoughts to such a degree that even control over your own behavior is compromised, and seems the most counterproductive specification. This also explains why my interactions with mortal subjects have produced more confusion than clarification. It presents a formidable barrier to understanding. My earlier hypothesis has been borne out. The suboptimal operation being conducted here is the result of emotionally compromised reasoning. I am ready to progress to my third and final query. I will learn more about those referred to as ancients. It is clear that this group was a crucial factor of the final days, but the information contained in the report was insufficient to form an overview. The Lawpirates are creations of the ancients, and are said to maintain repositories of their knowledge. By my calculations, the base of these moon dwellers will provide the best source of additional data. Teleport us to their burrow, Yami, preferably before my battery freezes over. Your teleportation spell was successful. We appear to have arrived at the location described as Bestway's Burrow. Inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality and will require external assistance. No, it can't be. It is you. Oh, Yami, I've missed you so. What's this you've brought with you? This soft, feathery vision. We've been outfluffed. Pack up the moon. It's all over. No! Why bother with burrow-building bunnies when you could walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me into a pie and be done with it. Inspect our inventions. Wait, so you're not done with us? Ha! I wasn't truly worried, of course. And I certainly was about to roll myself in dough and dive into cooking away's new oven. Ahem. If a technical breakdown is what you need, then I am your luprit. As a resident atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose. Acceptable. I'll employ this being to guide me around the facilities. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I am still an autonomous construct that has endured hundreds of your life cycles. I am capable of completing the simple objective alone. Alpha! Objective complete. Was the tour helpful? Affirmative. I observed the representative cross-section of the Loperit's engineering capabilities. My guide required more time to confirm the answer to certain questions, but overall, we made efficient progress. Conclusion. Extrapolating from the fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancements was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization, a fact which demands further investigation. Despite establishing a near-ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness which invited self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision. Growing Way informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon this satellite, the one they call the Watcher. I would speak to him. Then conserve your ether. We will ride this Argos to our destination, as you have suggested. The dog! The dog! The dog! Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence. Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Growing Way expressed concern that he had been outfluffed. This suggests the existence of a fluff-based hierarchy. My station in such a system would be predictably low. But Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge. Just think of the best luggage. Argos gives an exasperated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard. You have secured the creature's permission. Curious, is it your fluffy tail which provides such exemplary standing in the hierarchy? Why am I getting brought into this kind of conversation? Why? I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let's continue on to the Watcher at once. Bruh. I was bemused by the arrival of these small visitors, but I see they are companions of yours. What a rare thing for my abode to be thus crowded. How may I be of service to you? Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn more about the ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days was visited upon my home star. A worthy endeavor. There is nothing better suited to assisting you with that task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Yami. My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute indeed for the clarity of your more recent experiences. Yes, I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Ana and Emerselk and Hythlodaeus, the sorrow and determination of Hermes. I am a creation of Hydaelyn, and as such, I believe the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet knowing that their memory lives so vividly within you, it brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart. At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar at Anida. A shame, had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. As a man of learning, he was firm friends with Ana. They spent long hours trading theories, or debating the laws of the universe. I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us, yet of the events surrounding that tragedy, I recall precious little. Hydaelyn wished for the people of your age to decide their own path, thus I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet even she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctively his sadness as what was to come to pass, that in becoming Hydaelyn's heart, Vana would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. If she were so resolved in her convictions, then he, too, would share her sleepless vigil over the future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Vana as her transformation took hold. His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with new form and new purpose when I awoke as the Watcher of the Moon. And you heard, Yami, you felt, you thought, and in seizing the future for yourselves have you brought full circle the saga in which Vana began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle, it was but the beacon of hope, passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers, reshaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as the man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Vana's vision. I understand the facts of your story, Yami, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Vana with such fondness? By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet in doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in a protracted period of suboptimal existence for Emerselk and his brethren. Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor in your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes and his decision to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? From my perspective, his determination was similar to that of the Omicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine, so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races. It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by much failure and sacrifice. Their early experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what of Emmett Silk himself? Judging by your retailing, he was a benevolent ally saddled with tragic fate. Yet I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Asians engineer multiple instances of cataclysmic strife. These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. A man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy. I require an answer. As a being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of these pivotal figures? From your perspective, which of them was most justified in their actions? They both were, honestly. They were all justified in their own way. I think I understand. You seek a definitive answer, yet based on our experiences, Yami and I might develop very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit. I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logical pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return the same result, regardless of individual experience. There is no strength to be found in fractured reasoning. Nonetheless, I found your input valuable, recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of the final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible decision. Let us return to Thalmazine. Oh, there you are, right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope. We planned to ask you all about it and that mysterious transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. Seems one of our ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in and lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor. In fact, do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk? Acceptable. I am fully capable of speech during ambulation. I figured you might be. Right, let's get a move on then. So, you've cleared up all those points of confusion then? I mistakenly classified your intangible heart as an ability of some kind. An uncanny power that Omicrons could neither learn nor even measure. Even now, its full nature yet eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition. a phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. That is as close to an answer as I have found. Accordingly, Sed's actions when meeting Meteon strongly indicate the presence of a heart. Sed did not follow routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all functions. Well, here's our ship. Hi, we need to be going. But first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us what was in that transmission from the flight logs. Acknowledge, I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvaged from the Ragnarok was a simple one. The message is so basic, in fact, that the time spent listening to it may result in a net loss of value. Shall I continue? Now you're just teasing. Tell us the message already. Acknowledge, converting dialect coding to local language. To whoever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone I hope who looks up at the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all our tomorrows be blessed with joy. Well, that's a message that that I wasn't expecting. But it means so much. This message had no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. The concept of joy is overly abstract. The vocal supplication to manifest said joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet based upon their expressions, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with its apparent impact. Still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But I was designed to evolve. If I continue to learn, the probability that I eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than 0. So I will put the dilemma of your decision aside for now. And continue my existence upon this distant star. As I dwell among these many life forms, so will I continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts. I must document their progress. Your contribution to my education is appreciated, Yami. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experience, I am confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to Eorzea. I am now familiar with Sharlayan and Razadhan. Would also like to revisit the freezing climes of Galamald. I neglected to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding. I will reroute my request to Deputy President Jesse. Engage in ambulation and project salutations. Farewell, Yami. Bye, Alpha. A scrap of paper? Seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps this is his way of thanking you? Oh! It's an orchestrion roll! Swiftly, Alpha. The road is long, and we have barely begun our journey. What's the orchestrion roll? Flow together. Flow together? Is that the song, song that plays, at Ultima Thule? Hang on! I need to, see this. Go to Shirogane. Go to my house. Clean the chocobo stable. There we go. Nice and clean. Alright, let me see here. Edit playlist. Take that one off for right now. Alright, now let's see here. Oh! Okay. So that's the song that it is, okay. Oh! Drat! Not what I wanted to do. I wanted to get rid of this one. And put on this one. Anyway, that is officially all the time I have for today's live stream. That is all the side quests that are available to us at this moment in time. So tomorrow, if everything goes according to plan, I will be live streaming Ghost of Tsushima. If not, well, we'll try and see what happens from that point. So, thank y'all for watching. If you enjoyed the live stream, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out Mother Roy's page. Click on the link in the description below to achieve a dream, being my copy of Kiss for 2. You won't disappointed. And of course, don't forget to click that little bell button if you wish to be notified whenever I upload a video or live stream to my channel. And most importantly, if you wish to see Let's Play, something you can do, so checking out my playlist section. All my videos are there, archived for your viewing and entertainment, so you can watch Let's Plays like God of War, Final Fantasy XV, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and many, many more. Thank you all for watching. As always, your host, Tomoya, saying long Z, and I'll see you for the next adventure. Goodbye, everyone!